since before the invasion of Afghanistan, US and NATO forces have distributed these kinds of devices. Little solar panel, little hand crank. AM/FM shortwave radio. They did this because they wanted to get their propaganda out. Americans are coming to save you from the Taliban. All right? All of that kind of stuff. So now by my count, there are about 700,000 of solar dynamo AM/FM shortwave radios in Afghanistan. The problem is, from my point of view, it also uses battery power, AA battery power, but the hand crank and the solar don't charge the batteries. They only charge the internal hardwired dedicated battery. You can modify this very easily. And if you get in contact with me, I can show you, I can point you to a video that some special forces people did that showed how to modify these things. Now, you have 700,000 solar dynamo generators that can be modified to produce power not only for the radio, but for AA batteries, which means a walkie-talkie, so you can talk within a 5-mile radius of the village, a cell phone, and there's cell phone service in some areas of Afghanistan, a tape player, an LED light, all of those things. I've been trying for 3 or 4 years to get my representatives, my senators, to start thinking about this stuff. Now USAID has started a program to distribute 250,000 solar dynamo radios for educational purposes to Sudan. Again, the same problem. They only charge the dedicated hardwired battery. People are not thinking about battery switching. People are not thinking about AA batteries and making these things resilient. All right? So,
can people in the US acquire those radios?
oh yeah. That comes from a company called Kaito, which is Chinese. And there's also Grundig also makes a model that's being used. This is another solar dynamo radio. The newer models, they have a DC output and a USB mini output. And in Europe, what's happening is they've just decided that all cell phones are going to have a USB mini port, all right? So not going to be proprietary plugs. They just want one plug because it means less recycling, all of those kinds of things. Very good idea. So I can crank and I can charge a cell phone with a USB mini plug, which means I found this in the garbage, and I haven't done the modification yet, but all I have to do is cut this here, splice it here, and now I can charge AA batteries with this thing. So that means I have power available to me during the daytime through the solar panel, and you can see how small that solar panel is, but it runs this. And at night, by the hand crank, all right? So I have a source of low voltage DC power, day or night, as long as the sun shines, as long as I can turn the crank and the generator works, as long as I have batteries that hold a charge. Yeah?
Considering those batteries, what do you recommend as the low voltage AA batteries? Are there a specific brand?
There are a group of, there are people who evaluate that kind of stuff, so you can look at who does the best, and I might be able to point you in that direction if you get in contact with me. Probably what you want to do is nickel metal hydride these days, rather than NiCad. That's taking it over. Eventually it'll be a lithium batteries, all right? And MIT is working on fast charge batteries. There's a whole bunch of battery technology that's out there that'll become available. But right now, nickel metal hydride. All right, yes, you had a question?
How long do the hand cranks last, and how easy are they to replace?
I have not used them enough to wear them out. This feels as if it's going to last for a long time. This is a free play, and free play are the people who have done this for the longest. I've got an old free play flashlight, which is a hand crank flashlight about yay big. And I use that occasionally, have been using that occasionally for probably 8 years. It's still there. All right. So I would think at least 3 to 5 years when you're thinking about this stuff, and probably longer. Yeah.
How long do you have to crank the hand crank to get useful power?
You get useful power just turning it over once. Each one of these devices is a little bit different. Most of them talk about 5 minutes of cranking, 5 to 10 minutes of cranking, a half an hour of radio, you know, a half an hour of phone calls, those kinds of things. This is another solar dynamo flashlight, but it's not a crank, it's a string pull. There's a company which I'm not sure is still in business called Potenco, and they were going to be doing a string pull dynamo for the one laptop project here at MIT, but I don't think that they got to it. But this is another way. The Potenco charger, they said that they were much more efficient. I think that this activity is probably much more efficient than hand crank. And again, these things will be happening further.
I think internally that's the same activity as the ones that you squeeze. And
Yeah.
I have a flashlight, this is kind of answer that question. Like, I have a flashlight that I squeeze, and I don't know how long I squeezed it for. It must have been like a minute or less, but it stayed on for 24 hours. So it's certainly probably not as bright as some. Yeah, it looks like that.
Yeah, I think this is a neat one too.
Yeah.
My problem with these things is all of them should have a DC output so that you can charge a battery with them. And once you be able to charge a battery with them, then you have power that you can take with you. All right? This is just light. With a DC output, this is light and anything that a battery fits into.